capture the title?
I feel good that we know how to win. I don't feel good about us finishing the season from a playoff aspect and the middle of the season having a drought 2 years in a row. We got to be better from that standpoint. From a coaching standpoint, from veterans holding everybody else accountable standpoint, which they do, but we got to do a lot more of that, and we got to play not even better football at the end, but we got to have killer instinct, and we got to try to blow people out and try to win a division instead of it going down to the last week.
Talk a little bit about Hassan Reddick, Todd. How involved were you in the decision, and what are you expecting from him?
I knew him as a player. He came to Arizona after I left. He got there the year after I left, I'm pretty sure. So Foot had a lot to do with him, and we talked about it quite a bit. Knew he was a heck of a pass rusher. We needed a pass rusher, and we knew he started halfway through the season, so I would consider last season a wash for him, and we expect him to be his old self with us. He can do a lot of things, but more importantly, he can rush the passer. So if we got guys that can rush the passer, we let him rush the passer. Like I said last year, we need to rush better with 4. I think he brings a great addition to help us rush with 4 so we can cover more and do those type of things. We'll still pressure some, but hopefully it won't be as much as last year because we had to and instead of how we want to. So I think he brings that to the table for us.
Of course, he can contribute to getting more than 7 interceptions, right, Mr. Bowles?
That will be the plan, yes.
When you look at Larry Foote, what makes him such a good outside linebackers coach?
Well, he never stops talking, number one. But no, Larry's a very knowledgeable coach. He's very bright. When he got here, we started him outside. Knew he can coach inside because he played inside, but he has such a good feel for the outside that he really helped Shaq and JPP, and we feel like he can do that again. Bringing Caldwell back allowed us to put Larry back outside and promoting George up to the coordinator part of it. So getting those 2 guys in place, and you got better thinkers. I got 3 coordinators right there that can help as far as being brains in the room, and they all can bounce ideas off each other, so it can't be nothing but positive. It's more accountability. It's more accountability and practice and competing against each other. It's not a coach thing. They can hear me talk every day, all day upstairs on the stage, but when they start talking to each other and holding each other accountable from a vocal standpoint, whether that's tough love or whether that's kind love, either way it gets across, and how we get our point across and how we approach games is important. You develop that through the spring and the summer through a chemistry standpoint to making sure you're getting your point across, to having more competitive things in training camp or what have you, or doing little things like that to help them along.
Hey, Todd, with Reddick, what did he tell you about last year and kind of why it didn't work in New York?
He didn't say much about it. I mean, he got there late. It was a wash. It was a wash, and he just wrote the year off as not a good year. He didn't say much about why it didn't work. He just said he never got his footing, and he never got down. And when you miss half the season, I can understand that.
What was your biggest takeaway from the Washington playoff loss, Todd? I mean, you only had 7 possessions. That bothers you in terms of the defense getting off the field. So now that you've had time to think about that game, how did it end?
Well, the turnovers, obviously. The turnovers were there. Defensively, they didn't kill us, but we had critical. They kept getting in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and we were missing plays. Either we missed the tackle the last time on a bootleg, or we had a 2 yards wider zone drop than we normally have. Defensively, they didn't kill us, and we held them down low. But, the turnovers have got to come. We got to be more aggressive from a turnover standpoint and helping the offense get the ball back and get more possessions. And offensively, we got to cash in when we have the chance to cash in. And we were right there, and we had our chances. Credit them. They had a heck of a year, and they did a heck of a job. But we thought we were right there. But there were things we got to do better for sure.
So what will you do to develop Josh Hassan and get him going, whether it's call-up periods or just how will you do it?
We'll have a lot of call-up periods in practice. We'll have a lot of situational things. We want to put him in every position possible before he actually has to call it in a game. So before the preseason starts, he'll see so many different situations and so many type of things and call-up periods that I'll make them go in situations. It helps for defense as well to say, oh, I should have did this or I should have did that, and we come back to those situations. But you got to help coach the coaches and bring them along. We've done a good job at that the past few years, bringing those guys along, so Josh will be no different.
For the first time, do you feel like there's continuity in the system, at least, that's going to be, you'll be able to kind of pick up from sort of where you left off? Or is it
It's continuity in the system, but the signal call is different. So you got to develop more continuity, how you practice and how you play it, and then you have to tweak some things, because if you do exactly what you did last year, everybody watches tape, they're going to catch up. So it'll be interesting to see the wrinkles he puts in and how we adjust and how the coaches interact and practice. That'll be a whole new thing with Liam gone. You know, when you have another guy running the entire thing, even though everyone else is the same, it's different. So the continuity is going to be big for them to build throughout the spring. Being a defensive coach, I learned that you win by scoring points. So I don't ever want to bypass a very good offensive player. I can figure things out enough on defense to keep us competitive. I would like to have some defensive players if that presented itself, but by no means will I bypass a very good offensive player just to satisfy my needs on defense. We can figure out a way to keep the score down, but you can't figure out a way to keep scoring points, especially if your horses go down. So you can never have enough horses on offense. But yes, I would like to add some pieces if that's what you're asking me. But whether they come first or whether they come in the middle remains to be seen. We always have needs. We have needs on both sides of the ball. We were very good on offense. Doesn't mean we don't have needs. You know, we can get better in a lot of areas, and if there's a guy that can help us get better, we're definitely going to take him. You don't bypass him because he's great and you're already loaded. You keep loading up, and you kind of go from there. We don't have a lot of depth. I mean, that's crystal clear. We don't have a lot of depth, and we hope to address that at some point in the draft as well, obviously. And we didn't sign many in free agency. We signed Vendor, and we signed back Bryce. He's coming off an injury. We got to see what Vendor can do, obviously, but we're going to address that in the draft.
Jason said yesterday that Savasier Dennis could be a key contributor if the guy stays healthy this year. How do you look at Dennis? What did he show you when he was on the field?
We thought we had a heck of a player when he was on the field. We really thought he was making big strides, first, second, and third down. He was not just a third down player. Again, he had the shoulder. The shoulder's been hurt since he came out of college. He got it taken care of. We would like to see him healthy. You can't go by that. We got to keep adding pieces, but we think he's a heck of a football player, and we also think we got a good football player in Walker from Miami. Really shows some good stuff on tape, so we think we got better there. Would we like to add somebody else there when we get a chance? Yes, we would, because we can't rely on people when they're not healthy, but if he can come back and have a healthy spring and healthy summer, we think he'll be a big factor for us. It was big to re-sign Bredesen. You know, we got 4 guys up there. We got 4 guys up there that play, and they're all draftable. All the guys we drafted. You know, we drafted them pretty early, so to have Ben back without spending another draft pick there will help you as you stagger the guys that you have to pay going down the line. But Ben was a big part of what we were doing. He was comfortable in our system. We were comfortable with him. He's a very durable guy. He's a very smart guy. So adding a piece back like that helps us.
Todd, when you look at the overtime proposals and all that, what are your thoughts about both teams getting the ball in overtime? I know you were in some of those games last year. You won the Carolina game at the end, but there was a couple where your offense didn't get the ball.
I'm all for both teams getting the football. At least it gives you a chance. It gives you a fair chance, and it takes out. Now, if one team holds the ball long and you're in the 2-minute mode, we'll see. But most of the teams score on the first possession anyway. But to give the other team a chance to get the ball back, I think it'll add some excitement to the game. I thought he was a very smart football player on film. He filled gaps. He understood the game. You know, he understood the game. When he was out there and he was healthy, we really thought he played some very good football. And he did a lot of things that we would really like. His zone drops were great. How he read the guards and tackles were great. How he communicated was great. Just his presence about him when meeting him was very good, and I thought he really did a lot of the things that we like to do defensively, so that kind of helped us out when we signed him. Yeah, it's definitely competition. I see competition everywhere. We're not giving anybody spots away. They got to earn them, and you got to do the things that you did the year before, and probably even better in some cases. So, because if somebody comes in and take your spot, it's taken.
Todd, for all the good things that Baker has done, protecting the football, I know it's a fine line. He's always going to keep plays alive and make plays. You look at the playoff game, you look at some of the games that you've lost in the past. How much better does he need to be with the ball?
Well, that's number one. We always got to take care of the football. That's number one. But when you play like Baker plays, you're going to have a mistake here or there. We like to cut that down some if we can, but we're not going to hinder his play. We love the way he plays. We love what he does for us. And, you know, for the turnovers that he gave, we would never be in playoff position if it wasn't for him in the first place. So we're fine there. We just got to clean up some things, and he knows that.
Todd, you had a lot of injuries last year. Some of them just seemed like fluky injuries during practice. You said that 2023 one of the healthiest teams, and you had a certain way of practice. You did the exact same thing in practice last year. All these injuries popped up. Have you and Jason had a chance to look at what transpired? Have you come to any conclusions about this, or was last year just a bit of a fluke?
No, some of them were just freak. Some of them were just freak injuries, and we're trying to find ways to be better practice-wise. I don't know if we can get any better than we were the last 2 years, but we're going to tweak some things, and we're all looking into it from the training staff, the strength staff, and nutritionists and everything else, looking into it, trying to tweak whether we need to warm up more, whether we need to warm up differently, whether we need to run certain things and change drills around. We're looking at all that stuff right there, but it's up to players to be professional as well, so it's going to be all conclusive once you figure it all out, but we're looking into all that.
Todd, Winfield was a difference maker 2 years ago, without question. Last year, banged up, hurt, maybe hurt more than the public even knew. In your discussions with him, what's your confidence level you'll get him back to that level?
100% confident he'll be healthy. He's been training his butt off. When's the guy? He's going to train. He's not going to say much. He's going to train and get back to himself. He always has a chip on his shoulder, whether he's a first-round pick or a free agent. He's going to practice. Him and Levante are going to practice the same way. And if he can stay healthy, he'll be the same guy he was 2 years ago.
He was very frustrated that season.
With the injuries, yes. You know, he got injured first. The second one was friendly fire. Obviously, that was frustrating for him. He could never get his feet on the ground, and the season kind of ended that way. But he's very determined this year to come back and be who he was. At the exit meeting, I felt better this year than I felt last year. He was in a much better place leaving, even though he said he had to think about it and didn't tell me anything. He was more upbeat this year than he was last year. Last year it sounded like he was at the end. This year it sounded like he could go some more. So I in my head, I said he's coming back, but I didn't know that. And when he finally came back and we texted each other, you know, it was outstanding, because that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, and you need one backer instead of two. If you got to bring two of them in there, it's going to be a problem.
Coach, could you share any details about your conversation with Liam Cohen at your annual meeting?
Other than what the hell we doing here? Man, me and Liam are very close. We have a very good relationship, man. It's all fun and games. He knows where I am if he needs to call me. He's got a great opportunity there in Jacksonville, and, you know, that's really all we talked about. And I told him, you know, once he took the job, congratulations and everything else. It didn't affect me. No matter how he left, I'm looking for an offensive coordinator. So that's just the nature of the business, but we've done it 2 years in a row now, so it moved on from there, and I wish him the best. Means I'm getting old. It's great to be a part of such a historic franchise, and I'm sure there are many people before me and many great coaches before me that have a lot of stories to tell, and mine are probably minimal in the grand scheme of things right now. I mean, you had colorful guys like Bruce. You had Dungy that was calm. Obviously, you had Gruden that was colorful as well. So you had your colorful coaches and you had your more calm demeanor coaches from them. It doesn't take much to be calm when you're going with those two guys right there, but great coaches in their own right. They had a lot of great players that's been through here, so to even be a part of it is a blessing.
How would you describe yourself?
Calm on the field, probably talk a lot of shit off the field. And a lot of times on the field that you guys don't get to see, but it's trust me, I'm probably very talkative. A lot of it after the games, but sometimes you got certain guys you have to be calm around, certain guys you can talk to, but they all get a part of it.
Todd, Baker is among the several quarterbacks who found success kind of in their next home sort of situation, like Jared or Sam Darnold and whatnot. What do you think it is about the environment in Tampa that has allowed Baker to come into his own in the NFL?
Well, the first thing, we allow him to be himself, number one, but you got to go to the team that has the right system that kind of fits you. Sometimes you play on a team that the system doesn't fit you, and Baker found the right place at the right time. We tweaked the system at the right time after Tom left because they were completely different systems. So to come in and have a system that fits you and you can still be yourself and allow you to grow and process and blossom, I think is important. And Baker brought as much to us as we brought to him as far as bringing a leadership and personality in our building and understanding the game and us having a system that fits him and a place that fits him. So I think it was a good marriage.
Is there anything that goes on like early in that relationship to make sure that he understands like he has the place where he can be himself and to kind of clean the slate and go forward?
Well, having a prior relationship with him helps, obviously getting to know him, so I already knew him from that standpoint. Jason had a good feel for him as well, so we thought he was the perfect guy for what we needed at the time. Yep. I think it helps a great deal. We talked about this a little bit at the Combine, that I'll be bringing somebody in. Just having a full-time game day manager with every situation allows me to be a better head coach on both sides of the football while still getting advice from a full-time guy instead of piecing it together from deep people up top that may know a few things instead of everything. And we're going to meet all off season and during the season and go over situations and things so we have a good communication on game day. Like to test that out in preseason, but I think he brings so much to the table from an experience standpoint and from a league knowledgeable standpoint that can help us make me a better coach and us a better team. I'm hoping he's on the field week one. I'll have more to know about that as the month goes on, see how he's healing and getting running and practicing and everything else, but my hope is for him to be on the field week one. I do know Bryce is running full speed right now, and he got hurt a lot earlier, obviously, but he's running full speed right now, and he's ready to go, so I'm interested to see how he reacts to that.
How do you feel you've progressed as a head coach, Todd? The lessons you learned in New York, you kind of feel you're at the top of your game, or is still stuff to work on?
It's a lot to learn. Obviously in New York, I think when I first got to New York, I hired Chan Gilly as an OC because I needed a guy with experience because it was my first time as a head coach. I didn't want to have a rookie OC and be a first-time head coach while I learned the rest of the offense and how to run the team and everything else. I think I've grown a great deal from that standpoint. There's still a lot more to grow. I think when you stop growing as a coach and learning as a coach, you probably need to retire. I think I'm some ways from that right now. I think I got a lot better in a lot of areas, still getting better at a lot of areas of delegating and letting my coaches coach from the standpoint. It doesn't have to be me that knows everything on defense. I think I got a good group there, allowing the offense to grow, but still trying to put them in the mold of understanding game day situations. I've probably gotten a lot better there, but there's so many things you can get better as a coach because there's so many different players that come in that they force you to do things and coach different ways. And with injuries, you have to still coach, and we've kind of adapted the mentality of win in spite of who's out there and who's coaching, and those guys have really bought into that, so we expect no matter who goes out there from the first team to the fifth or sixth team, we expect those guys to perform. So we kind of developed that kind of montage, and it's been working for us.
When you hear Jason say this is an ascending team, you take a little pride in that, and do you agree?
I would always like to think we're ascending every year. You know, it might be in different areas in different ways, but we got to ascend completely as a team and keep ascending. And so I would like to see that this year. We have been ascending every year. We went from an older team to a younger team to a salary cap team to getting some players in and getting better every year. So next year I'll hope to be even more so.
Todd, is there any thread to the losing streaks early, in the middle of the season that you've gone through, you've overcome them, which is a great thing, but can you point to anything that has caused you to kind of slump there?
I can as of right now, Rich. I've been pointing, that's the number one thing I've been going over since the season ended, other than tweaking the defense as well. But we're trying to figure out that as well, and I think I have a kind of a handle on it that we're going to discuss as coaches and kind of go into the season like that. But when the veterans get back, we'll definitely talk to them about it, and that's going to be a big form of contingency for us.
You talked often about speed being necessary for the cornerback position. Do you have any thresholds? I know you look at the film, and the film is what dictates those selections, but 40-yard dash times matter. There are certain guardrails that you look at and say, this guy's fast enough to play, or you just...
They matter for corners. They matter for corners, and they matter to a degree for safeties and inside backers. Obviously, outside backer speed is always a good thing if you can get him on the D-line, but not necessarily necessary. But corners, you got to be able to run. That's number one. If you can't run with somebody on the fade ball, then it's tough. Unless you have a zone type of team that play a bunch of cover two, you can get away with the other guys. But we look for certain things in the corner. It's not just speed. It's short area quickness, obviously. Ball skills is something else you can look at, and a willing tackler. You know, you're small, you're not going to be able to tackle everybody, but you got to be willing to tackle those guys. So a lot of those type of things go into it as well. Confidence in Tyke is high. It's just a matter of him being healthy. We think he's a heck of a football player. Coming back, just being a rookie is kind of tough to go through a year like that and go through 17 games plus playoff games and preseason. That's a lot of games, so hopefully he comes back more conditioned for the NFL season. I think he'll be fine. From a confidence standpoint, we feel like we can put him anywhere.
Todd, knowing what Bucky can do now, better inside runner than he probably was outside, you still got Rashad and Sean Tucker. Would you expect Bucky to be the premier guy? I mean, how do you use all of them, obviously, but how do you think that might change to start the season?
I don't think it'll change much. Obviously, Bucky will be the guy coming in. Rashad will play a ton too. Depending on how the game goes is how you rotate and use them. I think Bucky knows more now mentally, so he can handle more in the beginning of the season. And Rashad's always known more, and I think we got to get Sean in there a little bit more as well because he's a heck of a runner for us, and we got to play him a lot more than we played him in the past. I've seen him grow mentally, understanding how people are trying to block him. The first year, he was just trying to run through everything, and we kind of let him go because he was a bull in the china shop. Last year, he was more strategic in how he rushed the passer, and despite the sack numbers, he still was our most prolific pass rusher as far as getting pressure. Just expect him to finish those plays this year.
Todd, when you look at Michael Pratt, who didn't really play in the Bucs offense last year, being your scout team quarterback, but going up against him in practice, what did you like about his skill set?
So we knew he had an arm. You know, it's unfair to judge him at this point because all he did was scout team. So this spring will be big for him. This spring and the summer, the practices and the preseason games will be big, and we'll find out what we have. Not sure what we have right now. I think when he got hurt early, it kind of set him back a little bit. So he's behind mentally when he got back. But once he caught up mentally, he really started to show himself and become a true leader over there, especially with Mike and Chris going down for a little bit of time. He became one of our guys, and, you know, he blossomed from there. He's a heck of a football player. As long as he takes care of his body, we expect him to be even better this year.
Todd,
Not necessarily bigger, but just stronger and more toned. You don't have to necessarily get bigger as a wideout. When we say stronger, we mean just taking care of his body more and not as frail. Like I said, everybody's position's up for grabs. I think Zion probably 1A, 1B because Zion stayed healthier during the year. Dean's got to get healthy. And, he comes in and he plays. You can't play half a year every couple years, and he understands he's got to get healthy. He's doing everything he can to be healthy, but we got to have some depth there just in case. And if somebody comes in and competes with him, he's going to have to compete.
Todd,
When I played, Emmett Thomas was my defensive back coach, and Richie Pettibone. Those were two big influences on me from a coaching standpoint. Obviously, Bruce has always been a mentor since he was my coach in college, as well as Coach Rapone. But Coach Parcells was a huge part of a lot of things that I do. Obviously, Joe Gibbs as well. But I learned a lot from Wade Phillips. I learned a lot from Andy Reid. And I learned a lot from Mike Nolan. So I had a lot of guys. I was fortunate enough to be around some great coaches that I took a little bit of each from.
That's quite a list. Sorry, I was just curious. Chris Godwin, when you guys were in the process of resigning him, where were you of the Patriots being the team that was going to steal him away?
You heard a lot of stories. Obviously, you heard a lot of stories. You can't believe everything you read until it fans out. I'm sure they had a good offer on the table for him, but Chris felt at home, and we're glad he's felt at home, and he came back to us, and I couldn't have been happier.
And then Carlton Davis, what kind of player are the Patriots getting Carlton Davis?
Carlton's a hell of a press corner. When we had him when he was healthy, he did a heck of a job for us. He obviously won a Super Bowl for us, went to Detroit and had a very good year. Now he's gone to New England, so he's had a very good pro career. They're getting a heck of a player.
Hey, Todd, what about KJ Britt? Same question in Miami as you guys kind of did a little linebacker swap there.
We did kind of a swap there. KJ got banged up a little bit, and he was a free agent. Obviously, he went to Miami. He was a big leader for us. He played on teams early on. He got to play some first, second down backer for us. Obviously, he's still got a lot to learn mentally from a few things, but KJ can be a heck of a player for him. And I don't know if it was a linebacker swap or it just turned out that way, but we kind of like what we have at Walker as well.
Todd, if you get the four-man rush that you want, that you hope for, how could that affect the style of your play in the secondary, being more aggressive rather than playing a soft coverage?
It gives you extra droppers, so when you play man now, they can have some safety help at times, whether it's quarters man or whether it's two man. You can have safety help or in and out double help. It gives you a chance to play man, but also double the top receivers and take those guys away from an aggression standpoint. And it gives you a chance to switch up coverages and make the quarterback hold the ball longer. If you can do that and still mix in a few pressures here or there, I think you'll be a better defense.
It all flows from the guys up front.
Always the guys up front.
Todd, would you say is the biggest thing that has triggered your evolution as a coach?
Oof.
Could be the media.
He was in New York first.
I think being around Bruce, starting in Arizona, starting in Cleveland as a college coach, watching me evolve and me watching how he runs an offense and me being an aggressive defensive play caller, it kind of signals a lot about a lot of things that he showed me from a coaching standpoint. Always be aggressive no matter how many bullets you got. The less bullets you have, the more aggressive you have to be. But you're going to die shooting all your bullets. And he taught me that, but he taught me that intelligently. It's not so a matter of blitz everybody every play. It's just a matter of what they're giving you that you can take advantage of and shooting those bullets accordingly. It's going to be exciting. We're really trying to go a lot further than we went this year and look a lot more impressive than we looked in the last few years, and that comes with the guys having a lot of confidence and continuity. But again, that has to be built from the ground up, but we're looking forward to the challenge.
How do you strengthen your areas of weakness as a coach? When you identify something, how do you take it to that next level?
You watch tape. The first thing I did when the season ends, I watch tape and I go over every call and see whether it was my fault or could it have been done better. Was it taught? And if it was taught, was it executed? If it wasn't executed, what can I do differently? How are people trying to attack me? How can I change as a coach? So from the start of last season, the end of last season till now, I have been working on how we can tweak the defense and make the defense better. What do we need from a playing standpoint, what we have to do from a coaching standpoint and a teaching standpoint. And what is it, March now? It wasn't probably until last week where I finally had a breakthrough, because I've been racking my brain for months trying to go through a lot of things and talking to every coach, going over everything, seeing how we can get better, what can we tweak, what can we do, what do they see, what do we see.
What led to the breakthrough? No. I don't want
It
you to
just
tell
comes. I wish I could tell you. It comes with plenty of film study, plenty of doodling on the board, watching things, and plenty of what we have. You know, and you hold out a little bit to what we may get in the draft, but you got to go through all the scenarios in your head, and we finally come up with something that we feel like is successful formula for our defense going forward this year, and tweaking a few things, and I'm excited about that.
And final question for me: How do you come up with those simulators for the draft? In terms of, do you just have to get inside information from the team? In terms of, how do you put that together?
You get inside information, you hear people's names, you work them out, you get a feel from talking to college coaches, pro coaches, scouts, everything else, and you see people's names pop up enough, you got to figure they're going to be in that certain area, but you should always expect surprises. And I go if everybody's there and we can take who we want, to everybody's gone and we can't take who we want and we can't trade back and all those things. Me and Jason go through that. The scouting department goes through that. I go through it with the coaches. So you have a pretty good idea on draft day. You're not surprised by what's gone and what's there in order in which you would take them. So you just constantly go through that in your head and talk about it, and you kind of go through there until draft day.
Good to see Tyson.
They do that on their own. They go by sections, whether it's red zone, third down, first, second down, things we can tweak, things we can help, who we're putting in bad positions, who we can help more, how we can get over those things, and we report back, and I get a report on that all the time.
Last one.
How much, or what do you think will be the biggest things that guys like Yaya Diaby and these young guys
Well, he's been in the league longer, so he's experienced. Obviously, he can teach them how to rush the passer from a mental standpoint. If he can add some things there to help them from a pass rush standpoint, that would be great. They all have different body types, so it'll be interesting to see the dynamics of it, but they both want to get back to the quarterback, and if they're meeting back at the quarterback, then I'm a happy guy.
Todd, little off topic, Detroit. What's Todd Bowles? What's your son going to bring to the University of Michigan? And how much did Foot have to bring him to Michigan?
Well, before going to Michigan, I used to rib Foot about Michigan all the time. So now I really have to shut up. And you know, he had labrum surgery in January, but he's getting healthy for fall camp, and I just wanted him to go in there and have a great career. Yeah.